Hold up. TDavis is in the channel minute, man. You know him, you love him from the broadcast, but if you're new to the community like I am, there's a story and a half to be had with this gentleman here. TDavis, man, a good morning to you. Thank you so much for making some time to pop on and talk to us here, brother. What's going on?
I'm good, man. Just made some coffee, a little cold brew action. Excited to talk to you. Love what you're doing on the channel, so I'm ready to get into it.
I appreciate that greatly, man. Yeah, I got my coffee next to me as well. So, bro, I know we talked a little bit in the pre-show kind of about, what I've been trying to do with these, right? Like, we get to know and love people as creators, as entertainers, as Madden players. For you as a commentator and a broadcaster, and, anytime we see something high-profile Madden going on, invariably, it's TDavis and User and Nick Mazesco. So, of course, there's so much that, I want to hear about on that end. But a lot of times, like, we just don't have the occasion to kind of go back through your origin story is the phrase that I keep using, and kind of learn about the path that you walked en route to where you're at now and the things that you've had to deal with. And like I was telling you in the pre-show, in doing my research on a blessing to have you on the show, and thank you again, bro. I got hyped, so I was like, okay, man, I got to make sure, I'm well prepped for TDavis here. And, the more I learned, the more I got to realize, like, holy cow, there is a story here that's much bigger and more important than Madden, with what you've dealt with Lyme's disease during your Cardinals Club championship run. And, really, I've, caught up on some of your social media stuff, being, I would call it an activist for Lyme's disease. I don't think that's unfair to say. So I'm really, really looking forward to some of your perspective with what you're dealing with there, bro. But I suppose, we could, as some conversations start, we could start from the beginning, bro. If you would, where did you grow up? Like, where are you from? What did your family home look like? Like, what were the kind of the early days of TDavis looking like?
Yeah, so I grew up, I'm right outside of Boston, still in the same city that I grew up in, the same house. Family life was good, played a lot of sports when I was young, just me and my brother basically. And kind of, if you want to start with how I got into Madden too, and this is probably, like, my story's pretty long, so cut me off whenever you want.
Yeah, I'm not going to cut you. Spoiler alert, bro. Yeah, I'm not going to cut you off at all.
Ask me some questions though. If you want to jump in, like, ask me a question about whatever.
For sure.
But yeah, so, family life was good. Everything was good. I started playing Madden literally when I was 5 years old, right? So, Madden 99, right? Me and my dad, playing franchise mode, having a good time. Kind of just, like I said, played sports, went to school, played Madden. And Madden really was what I fell in love with when I was young. And then I started, I would play here and there, like, franchise mode. And then I really got good, like, Madden 2007. So when you look, like, I'm still relatively young. I'm about to turn 28, but I've been playing Madden forever, and I've been in the community for a long time. So people think I'm older than I am half the time.
Right.
But yeah. But I got into competitive Madden 07, right, playing online tournaments, and then I saw, I started traveling in Madden 09. So now that's like, what, 12, 13 years ago now? I don't even know. But went to my first tournament, and you know how it goes. You get hooked. Like, I don't know if you've been to a live tournament, but you need to go if there's one this year or whenever they start getting live tournaments again, because you'll get hooked, right, as soon as you see. I'm sure you get hooked when you watch some of the MCS tournaments and all the online tournaments, but I was hooked. And then I kind of went to this, so they had like a GameStop national Madden tournament, right? This was Madden 10, and I won. You had to go through each, like, city around you, right? And then I went to, like, the quarterfinals or whatever, like, at Gillette Stadium, and I won that, which was, like, huge. So I got, like, a free trip to Arizona. Got to go to a Cardinals game, and I think it was for, like, a $10,000 prize pool. I ended up losing the Final Four in Arizona, but that was, like, the coolest experience to me, right? I was hooked. And then ever since then, I kind of just started competing. I've been pretty much every state across the country. And the thing is, too, these were all, like, underground tournaments, right? Now we know competitive Madden has these big $100,000 tournaments, but I was traveling to Ohio and Atlanta and all over these kind of little, well, Atlanta's big, but, like, Ohio, some little cities, right. Missouri, to play for, like, $2,000 to $10,000 prize pools just for the love of it. I would pay my own travel, and I was kind of making my name on the underground scene, winning a lot of tournaments, winning a lot of money throughout those years.
Were these, like, sanctioned tournaments, or were these kind of like a one-off, like like a video game shop is going to hold a tournament for $5,000, so you get out there to put your name in the hat, or were, like, EA putting these on, or, like, a little bit of both? Or
yeah, so there was a mix. So at first it was the underground stuff that, like, just kind of, like you said, shops putting it on, gaming places putting it on, underground stuff. Then we had so MLG, Major League Gaming, got into Madden in Madden 2010. And that was huge for us because, Madden kind of was dying out. Because before I came, there was the Madden Challenge. I don't know if you've heard of that. This was like the old head stuff. I don't know if you talked to Shopmaster about it.
Yeah, we did. Shop had some good stuff, man. Told us about the Madden Nation and riding the bus all over the place. He had some good stories on that too.
Yeah, Madden Nation was the coolest show, by the way. But yeah, so like during that time, there was a thing called the Madden Challenge where you would travel to 32 different cities all across the country, and you would, if you won your city, they would have like, it's kind of like the club championship now a little bit. And that was like the coolest thing ever. Then it died out. Then MLG came in, but MLG was only in there for 1 year, so we only got that in 2010. But I traveled to those tournaments. Didn't really do that well because I was still young, didn't know what I was doing. Sure. Then it died off again, right? We had Virgin Gaming came into it, and they had some big tournaments. Like Problem Right won the $140,000 Virgin Gaming tournament, so that was big. And then right after that, because I feel like I hit my prime Madden wise during that time, and then so after Madden 12. Everything died out as far as big tournaments, and it was all underground stuff. So from Madden 13 to about Madden 15, I was winning all these underground tournaments for like $5,000 to $10,000, and I was really making my name for myself. And then is when I really got sick. So about Madden 15, probably the middle of that. I got, and we can get into the Lyme disease story. I'll just kind of run through the Madden stuff first, and then we can get into Lyme disease. But Madden 15 is when I got really sick, and then that's when Madden took off, though, right? That's when the MCS came in, and I was like, damn, man, what's going on? I can't even play in this because I couldn't travel, I couldn't even drive, I couldn't go to school, all that stuff. So then, so Madden 15 to about Madden 18, I didn't really play, and then I got back into it, Madden 18 end of the year, and then. So I did pretty decent those 2 years, and then I got the commentating kind of gig, which we can get into if you want, and then so I've been doing that since. But that's kind of the long story of the rundown of my Madden career.
Yeah, the Madden trajectory for sure, bro. And yeah, I want to kind of go back and like take all these available tangents. And I got to be like, of course, like me personally, I want to learn about like the commentating gig and what that was like at first, and like what it feels like on air and whatnot. And all the Madden stuff is super interesting to me. But I got to be frank with you, bro. Your battle with Lyme disease, from the things that you've put out and the research that I've done on you, is unique and remarkable. So you said that the symptoms from this, that you got sick around this 15 time, like around Madden 15.
Yeah, well, it's just a weird story. It's a long story, but I got sick in about 2013. And I didn't know what was wrong with me, right? And it was bad for a year. I kind of like got better a little bit, and then all of a sudden like it came back. But I didn't know what was wrong with me probably for about 4 or 5 years, and I had all this all the symptoms you can think of. I still have heart problems because of it. I had a lot of mental stuff, like weird stuff. Like I couldn't drive. Like my concentration was off. It kind of got into my brain. So what the Lyme disease is it's a tick bite, right? If you get bit by a tick, you'll see a bullseye on your leg. And the problem is though, and so if you see the bullseye, you can kill it with antibiotics in a week, and you're pretty much good.
Okay.
But I never ever saw my tick bite. I still don't even know where the rash was or anything. I never even know where I got bit by a tick. So I didn't know what was wrong with me for like 5 years. I went to probably 100 doctors all over the East Coast. They thought all these things are wrong with me because that's the problem with Lyme disease too. It mimics a lot of other diseases. Fibromyalgia, arthritis, like the mental stuff, heart problems. It mimics so many other things, and there's not too much information on Lyme disease. That's what makes it so difficult. But then eventually, so I was really struggling for like probably 4 or 5 years there, and I was in and out of hospitals. I couldn't really leave my bed. I couldn't drive. I had to drop out of school. Couldn't go to work. So it was tough. And then eventually, I found a Lyme disease kind of specialist, a little bit 2 hours away outside of Boston, and then that's when I got the positive test. They were like, oh, we should check for Lyme disease because you have some of the symptoms for it, and that was the positive test. So that day that journey was tough, but that day was so relieving for me because I didn't have an answer, and I finally, even if it sucks if you have a disease, but at least I knew kind of what was wrong with me and how I could get better. So then from there, it was just a full 180, doing everything possible to get better. And I got to credit my family. My mom was, tremendous in that. So I basically switched my whole diet. I'm like dairy-free, gluten-free because when you have a bacteria in your body, gluten and stuff can affect it. So I had to switch my diet, switched my lifestyle. Basically, I got a sauna in my house.
Wow.
to flush out the toxins. I had to take antibiotics for about 3 years because what you got to do is kill the bacteria, then flush it out. So it was this whole thing, but it was tough for those couple of years. But now I'm pretty much all better now. I just have to I'm always taking care of my body and making sure that I'm on the right track.
So it was interesting to me because when I was in high school, I didn't know that Lyme's was a chronic disease that you need to deal with in an extended way, like you're telling me about. When I was in high school, I had the bullseye. I had the tick bullseye, and I remember it being the sickest I ever was. My father was not big on like doctors or the hospital or whatnot. I was running like almost a 104 fever the one day, and he finally takes me to the hospital, and they see the bullseye. I had multiple bullseyes on me, and what you get like treated for it, and I don't think it's been like impactful ever since then. But from what you're saying, the cause is a tick bite that in this case maybe like you didn't catch initially, so the bacteria had some time to kind of like settle into your system and create some of these symptoms that you were dealing with before you got your diagnosis. And so I mean, this must have turned your life upside down, like dealing with all these symptoms that you can't place. You're not quite sure why or how they're happening. I mean, what was that like? I mean, that must have been terrible.
Yeah, it was horrible. I thought, many times I thought I was going to die. Like, it was just horrible. But, and to your point, you said the word chronic, and that's actually what they call it. So for you, did you take antibiotics right when you kind of?
I did. It's so long ago. As I was doing research on you, I was like trying to remember my own experience with this. I just remember it being the fucking sickest I ever was. And yeah, and I would assume there was probably antibiotics after that because I still had the bullseyes on my body.
Yeah, so that was good though that you actually saw the bullseye, you knew what you had, and you take the antibiotics. So you will feel sick for like a week or two, right? And then when you take those antibiotics, it's gonna kill it, and then you're good after that. Yeah, so that was good. For my story, I never saw the bullseye. So what it actually did create what they call chronic Lyme disease. So it's funny you said that word because so if you don't kill it right away, they call it the chronic Lyme disease, where it kind of gets into you, and kind of stays in your body. And it will actually move throughout different parts of your body. So it's a horrible disease. There's not too much knowledge out there. That's why it's so difficult to get answers. And it can mimic a lot of other things. So it's just a terrible thing. But yeah, it was tough, but we got through it and doing better than ever now.
That's what I'm talking about, bro. What were like the most notable? You said you couldn't drive. You said it was like lack of focus. Like what was the most serious parts of what you were dealing with before you finally got to the Lyme's doctor and figured out what the heck was going on?
Yeah, the main stuff was the mental stuff and the and the heart problems. Those were the two main things. Being in the hospital a lot was scary. I'd be there sometimes like 3-4 times a week, and there was nothing they could really do for me because we didn't know what was wrong. I would have like panic attacks, or I would have like depression, anxiety stuff. My heart, I would have like insane like heart rates. Like they wanted to put me on like a beta blocker because they thought I actually had heart problems. But why would a 21-year-old have heart problems if they didn't? You know what I mean? Usually you would know if you had heart problems, like you're born with it or something. Like you just don't get it out of nowhere. So it was scary stuff. But that's when me and my mom kind of went through every avenue, right? Like I said, we went through every doctor. So we do have kind of trust issues now when it comes to doctors because they told us so many millions of different things that it could be. But then when we finally went to that Lyme disease doctor, and they kind of ruled out. So I have they did a bunch of Lyme disease tests. Like I have like strands. I don't even remember the name of my strand. I have written down somewhere, but there's like strands of it. So I have like the tests and stuff to tell me what it is. So, but that was such a relief. And then from there, it was just everything we can do to beat this disease.
Holy cow, man. And you mentioned a couple of the things you're doing like physically with the sauna in the house and how you've adjusted your diet. And you mentioned that it also, took a toll mentally, and there was mental health symptoms. And we talk about that, not that we talk about it a lot in the channel, but we're very open about mental health, particularly in young men, in young women, of course, as well. But just based on the demographic that we have the most access to, I think, it's a lot of young men paying attention when we start to talk about mental health. And my brand of stuff, I deal with bipolar depression, and I'm open and with the chat about that. But now in dealing with some of the mental health symptoms, how have you made any adjustments? I see my therapist on Thursdays. Is there anything is it all related to Lyme's disease, or do you have to take a closer look at your mental health just in general?
Yeah, it's kind of a mix of both. I would say about 50% of it was kind of the disease causing it. So when I kind of transformed my body and took the right supplements, like I take about 40 to 50 vitamins a day, supplements. I have to kind of, and that helped a lot. the diet stuff, get sweating the toxins out, all that stuff. But also too, talking about what's going on. Like the communication was always there. I did go see some therapists. My mom, I think she struggled worse than I did, right? Because everything, I would just get it out, tell her everything that I was going through. And that's, I think, the most important thing too, is just don't hold everything in. If you need to talk about it, let it out, let it be known. Because, like you said, majority of the world struggles with mental health, right? And you need to get that stuff out. You need to talk about it, and you need to be proactive in trying to get better at it.
Yeah, I completely agree. And it sounds like your mom has been really instrumental in you with that, and in this whole, this whole debacle that you've had to deal with Lyme's disease and everything that has come along with that. It sounds like your relationship with your mom is really important to you. It seems like a really beautiful thing.
Oh yeah, no doubt about it. She kind of gave up her life to help me get better. Everything she did. So I'm forever indebted to her for that. And me and my mom are super close. Like she's like my best friend. So no doubt about it.
That's dope, man. I love to hear that. So how did the treatment and kind of what you were dealing with your disease overlap with your Cardinals club championship run? Were you kind of like on the tail end of treatment and you had already figured stuff out? Were you more so like in the midst of trying to see what the heck was going on? How did that time out for you?
Yeah, so I look back, I believe it was like Madden 16, Madden 17. This was when I was super sick, and I'm sitting at home, and there was a tournament in Vegas, right? And I believe Problem was hosting it. He was like commentating it for something. And it wasn't like a huge tournament. I think gamersaloon.com was running it. And I was like, man, how I miss this so much. You know what I mean? Like, this was what I loved. I loved to travel in the world, competing in Madden tournaments. And now I'm sitting at home, and I don't know if I'll ever be able to do this again. That's really what I thought. And I'd be so sad sitting there at home. And then it was kind of towards the end of, or middle of Madden 18 when I started to really get better. And so by Madden 19, I was pretty much, I would say 70, 80% recovered from it, in remission. And that's when I kind of went on and made the run in the Cardinals club. So like you probably saw my tweet, because that was such a big moment for me. Like it was like years and years. And Madden is like for me it's big, but for a lot of people it's like, oh, it's just a video game, it's small. But everything I went through from what I loved playing Madden, right? And then I got it taken away from me for years. So to come back, kind of win that club championship was just a huge moment for me. And that's all I don't even care if I ever win another Madden tournament, right? Or do anything like that. That was just the coolest moment to me.
Yeah, it's like you kind of like completed in a lot of ways the comeback story, and then it's like all like the epilogue, as they say, with everything that happened afterward, with the commentating gig and kind of getting involved on that side. But I mean, just because we're all Madden guys, right? Just to hang on the Madden moment, your breakthrough, the belt year. So you're starting to feel a little bit better. It sounds like you have your diagnosis and you're starting to work on the symptoms, and things are starting to come back together a little bit. What was the lead up? Was it 19? Was the belt?
Yeah, it wasn't the belt. It was the car. So I won the Cardinals club. Yeah. So I won the Cardinals club championship, and then I went to the final 32, and then I ended up making the final 8 of the whole tournament. So it was a pretty good run. Won a decent chunk of money there, and I got to, like, the main thing was I got to be on the main stage again, right? Competing, that's what I love to do. So but it was Madden 19 to answer your question.
Got you. And so that's what I wanted to hear about. The main stage, like you made it here. You're playing Madden in a significantly different situation. Do you remember? I asked Pavan the same question on Monday. Do you remember? Like, I remember when I walked in for my state championship football game. I remember the stadium looked like it was empty. It was in Giant Stadium at the time. It looked like it was empty. It was freezing cold. And I look, and like you just see a couple things, and there's like a couple moments that you really like kind of lock in your mind. Do you feel like you had any of those type of observations or moments, like you're looking around the main stage, or things that really were memorable to you or stuck out from that experience on the main stage?
Yeah, I mean, the whole thing of it, right? We had like a little, because they were doing, well, the other thing too is they were doing like a little side piece, like backstage show for ESPN. It was called like the Road to the Madden Championship. ESPN was doing a thing, so they would kind of like, especially when I made the final 8 run, they kind of took me outside. I'd do interviews and stuff like ESPN. So that was really cool. We also had like a walkout, like when I played Kiv in that final 8 game, young Kiv, who you guys probably know, one of the best Madden players in the world.
Oh yeah.
They did like a walkout thing for us, like this cool thing where the camera would come close. So that was cool. Obviously, of course, looking, like, just being on the stage, right? Looking over, you see the commentary booth, you see all the camera guys. And then, like, the other thing, too, for me was, like, when I made some big plays, like I would get up, get loud, start capping, let people know. Like I think I said, like, because going up against Kiv, he's arguably a top 10 Madden player of all time.
Right.
And everyone picked him against me in the final 8, rightfully so. So I was like letting people know it. I was like, I feel disrespected. I was like getting loud. You know what I mean? I was getting excited. Yeah. So I think for me, that was the most fun, just getting out there, being on that stage, getting loud and having a good time.
And you referenced before, man, the fact that it's a shame that this past year plus now, we've kind of gotten cheated on the in-person events. It sounds like from what you're telling me, because like I said, I'm like relatively new. I spent some more time around Madden starting mid last year. So I guess, in my very short exposure to it, of course, I've seen you guys on TV. Like, we've seen all this stuff that gets broadcast nationally. But a lot of us, I think, have missed out on what the in-person event is like, kind of what the environment and the energy and like the electricity in the air. Do you think, I guess a couple questions. Do you think that we're able to get back to that this year? Do you think it'll be soon? And what do you miss about it most?
Well, 1000% live and in person is just so much better than the online stuff. And I will say, like, EA's done a great job of broadcasting these online remote tournaments, and it's difficult to do, and they've done a great job, but there's nothing like the in-person, both from a actually playing in it and a viewership standpoint, right? When you're like I just kind of explained it, when you're in person, you get to get that free trip, right? You get to fly out there, you get to be on that stage, you're basically making a name for yourself. Whether you lose, like if you make it to that and you lose in the first round or you win the finals, you made a name for yourself pretty much. Obviously, if you won the finals, you made a huge name for yourself. But just being there is the funnest part. And then the viewership standpoint, you get to see the personalities guys even more. There's different camera views, right? Like when we're watching at home, we kind of get that one camera view of, Pavin, for example, and you see him in front of you. You can see a little bit of emotion, but you can't see him from all different angles. You can't really see kind of what he's doing on the sticks. So it just adds another element to it. And then as far as will we see in person this year, I don't know. I would assume, if anything, next year, but I'm hoping because there's nothing like live and in-person events. They're just so much better. For sure. And like you said, it seems like EA has really done a great job at kind of like adapting and adjusting given the circumstances. We were talking to Pavin about, what went into setting up his room, the same room that we were looking at. I was like, you would assume maybe just from the outside looking in that, they'll just use their computer and the camera that they already have and they just like ship the feed to EA. Not so much the case with this, what they've had to do instead of in-person events. It has been a massive production. Have you gotten to see some of that from, like pseudo behind the scenes, kind of how they've had to orchestrate a lot of this? Oh yeah, without a doubt. They've put a big investment into it, right? They're sending you out. They've sent me out probably, I don't even know how much worth of equipment, right? I would say, 5 figures for sure of equipment. And they've done that, and they do that for all the players too. So, and then you're looking at about probably, I would say at least, I don't know the exact number, but the production crew, you got the engineers, you got the camera guys that behind the scenes, that's probably 30 to 50 production workers right there, and they're all putting in work remote. So it was a huge production, huge investment, and I think it came across really well. Though obviously there's things you can improve on at any time, but and especially just at the beginning too, when we didn't know what to expect with the pandemic and just being able to adapt on the fly, I think it turned out pretty well. Yeah, man, I would tend to agree. I think the production value was super high. I mean, even down to like the similar lighting in the background of everyone's shot. It looked really good. And I guess just we've all lived through it, right? Just the product of living through the last couple of years is we've all have experienced COVID together. So one of the questions that I've been asking in these Fen Talks, and bro, I've gotten a whole range of different answers from it didn't affect me at all, it was completely business as usual, to my business actually picked up, is given what I do, I had to do more for COVID, to, it really shook my stuff up personally a little bit more. But, in your story, TDavis, what did like the COVID landscape in the COVID world, did it have a big impact in your life or those around you, or did it really shake things up, or were you able to kind of keep things business as usual? What did COVID mean to you? Yeah, it didn't really affect me and the close ones to me that much, especially for me, obviously, because Madden was kind of my full-time job, right? I started, once I graduated, so I went back to college to finish when I got healthier, so I graduated back in 2019, so from there I was like, I'm going to give this Madden thing a shot full-time for like a year or two, just see where it goes, I'm young, so that's what I did, so kind of when COVID happened, it kind of picked up for me, right? Yeah. I kind of was like a good timing too, where I got the commentating stuff. And then it all turned into like the online, from remote. So then kind of that it picked up for me there. And Madden, everything's online, right? So I'm doing a lot of coaching and ebooks, YouTube videos, and I can do that all from sitting at home. So it didn't really affect me too much. If anything, it kind of helped me a little bit, right?
Yeah, no, yeah, that's totally reasonable, and that's been the answer for a lot of times. It's either it's such a huge range, like I said, it's some people really had their livelihood shaken up, and in other cases it just so happened to keep more people inside. More people are trying to play Madden. The community grew a little bit there. So you referenced putting together some ebooks. Obviously, as a top caliber competitor, people are going to be interested in what you're doing, and so I'm curious, are you locked in and focused on the kind of like the ancillary details like content creation and kind of doing your own thing? Or is your focus right now on the, being a part of the broadcast team and the things that you have going on there? Or are you actually able to do a little bit of both here, but independent stuff and everything that you've, been putting together for EA?
Yeah, I'm definitely going to be doing both. So we'll be doing the broadcasting, and then also I'm going to get heavier on the content creation too. I've obviously dabbled into it last 2 years, but I came from the competitive, right? I wanted to be in all the tournaments. I wanted to play the cash games online, but I do think now I'm going to be more into the content creation. I just started kind of a TikTok up,
Nice.
I'm starting to build that thing up, and then obviously the YouTube. I do coachings, ebooks, and then we got the broadcast. So that's kind of, to answer your question, yeah, I'm kind of focused on the content creation as well as the broadcasting.
That's good stuff. So I know, and not to, I don't think this question puts you in a bad spot at all, but so when we see, so for example, problem, right? We saw on Twitter the other day took a coin sponsorship, and I've just been asking kind of like where people stand as to what they're thinking about it. And of course, I know as part of the broadcast team, we're never going to see TDavis with a coin sponsorship. Do you can you like, I don't know, sympathize or appreciate how some of these guys are thinking? Would you anticipate that maybe it's a better call to have that relationship with EA for somebody who might be listening, who's starting up a stream and they're trying to weigh options, and they've heard from a guy who has taken a coin sponsorship and has the YouTube stuff, and now we have TDavis, who has maintained great relationships with EA, made his way onto the broadcast team. I think your perspective on this is just as valuable as anybody else's, kind of in guiding somebody's hand who might be like, I don't really know what to do. Would you have any input or guidance or advice?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think it's a good discussion. I think it depends on what your goals are too. You're never gonna, question someone for getting the bag, right? Like, look at Paul. Yeah. He's getting the bag. You want that guaranteed money no matter what you're doing, especially how difficult it can be as a content creator, as a professional gamer, right? It's not easy to make a living doing that. So I think it depends on your goals. Depends on if you do have these kind of opportunities that come up. You got to weigh them. You got to. You always want to build relationships with everyone. That's why networking is so important too, especially in professional gaming. Networking is important, so you build these relationships. So I don't think there's a right answer. I think it depends on your goals, but you always got to like secure the bag for yourself, no matter what it is.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I would tend to agree. And you referenced the value there in networking, and I think there's a lot to be said for that as well. In terms of how you kind of came upon the spot that you're at now as a part of the team, as a part of the broadcast team that everyone expects when anything Madden is going to be televised, in kind of finding yourself in that situation, was it your strength in networking, you think, that did the most work in getting you there? Was it the fact that you were competitively successful? Was it actually your, the perseverance and the work that you had to put in through your Lyme's disease and your experience therein? And I'm sure, of course, it's going to be a combination of a little bit of everything, but I suppose my question ultimately is, what do you think were the differentiating factors for you to wind up where you're at now? Because I look at you, I admire you and Nick and User, and it's like for guys that want to walk a similar path as you, how should we prioritize? Like how can we best get to a similar spot?
Yeah, I think it's like you said, it's a couple of different things. I think a lot of it is kind of luck too. Like you get so like. It was Madden 20 or a couple years ago, right? So it'll be the beginning of Madden 20. They brought a bunch of pro Madden players out to try out commentating, right? It was kind of a test thing for Club Series, And so there was probably like me and 6 other guys, and you just got to kind of, what you got to do is take advantage of the opportunity, right? And you got to get lucky. I went out there, I didn't know what I was doing. I never commentated in my life, right?
Right.
No idea, but I was like, oh, I'm gonna take this chance. This sounds like fun. First of all, I get to go out there on the booth and talk about something I love. Try to, and my goal is always to try to. And I see my guy Nick Mazesko in the chat,
Shout out to Nick.
which makes
John B's popping in too. Nice. Man.
Yeah, John Beast. Which make by the way, my job is so much easier working with Nick. He does all the heavy duty stuff, and I'm just kind of talking about the game. But like, just to go out there for the opportunity, talk about what I love, and my goal is always to build these guys up as stars. I think that's what our main goal is. To obviously the X's and O's I want to explain, to viewers that don't understand Madden at that level, and also build these guys up as stars. But going out there, I didn't know what I was doing, right? And I'm just kind of trying out everything, talking, just whatever. And so they liked me, I guess. I got lucky in that regard. I think also too, and the same thing with User, right? Obviously, User has the greatest personality in the world, right. But we've been around a long time, right? We know the game so well. Like, I might, especially now when I'm getting older, I'm probably never gonna have the best user skills, or they can't make the best reads, but I understand the game in the psychology way, the mental game, what it takes to win, all that stuff on a deeper level. And I've been in big tournaments, I've been in big games. Same with User, we've been around a long time, so they look at that kind of history. The trust. You never obviously put the company in a bad light or anything like that. They have trust that we won't do that. And then, like I said, but I think that it's just the opportunity, right? And keep putting yourself out there too, like, building your name, building your brand, and then they're gonna see you. And when you get the opportunity, you got to make the most of it.
For sure. I mean, I suppose you could say that about most things, right? Like, once you got the shot, you have to be able to step up. But I didn't know. So it sounds like kind of one of your first opportunities was it almost like a tryout, kind of like, did they bring like a few comp guys to see like what you guys had going on? Was that how that went?
Yeah, it was Madden 20 Club Series. They were doing like I think like a broadcast like every week or every 2 weeks out in San Francisco at the studios or Redwood. So they just kind of bringing up competitive guys to kind of work as the analysts next to the play-by-play guys, right? Just to try it out, because who knows Madden more than professional Madden players?
Nobody.
Right?
Yeah.
So you might as well try it out. So yeah, it was like me, Pav, and Drini, Master Gamer, a couple other guys that I'm probably missing. Like Mo and Skimbo also were in it. So you just, when you get out there, you make the most of it. But yeah, it was kind of a tryout period, and I don't know. I guess I got lucky.
So that and kind of that's all she wrote from there, and everything else was history. So do you remember, like, after, so you got a little bit lucky and a little bit good, you got the opportunity you needed, and you stepped up and you were ready for the show. Do you remember like the first gig kind of that was going to be yours, and like now you're on the team and it's not so much a tryout anymore, like you're being brought in to do this? Do you kind of remember when that transition happened?
Yeah, so it's funny, and Nick's in the chat, he'll probably think this is funny too. So, when they brought me in, I think I worked with Scott Cole actually first, right? And I did, okay. And I love working with Scott. We did some stuff last year too, and then I forget what happened, but I kind of transferred over. I think they brought RG back with Scott, because they were like they're the OG commentators. Yeah, they were like the main guys, right?
Right.
And they're so good. And then, so then they put me and Nick together, right? But we were like the side set boys, right? We were doing the Mo was really good. Mo and Skimbo are really good too,
for sure.
But I'm reading the chat. But yeah, so that me and Nick were like, we called us the side set boys, because we were doing like, we were like, weren't the main commentators. We were also doing like the pregame stuff, right? So we would make a joke with the side set boys, and that was the end of Madden 20, and then end of Madden 20, and then last year, they told us it was just me and Nick, and then obviously we got User on the booth too. So when they told us it was me and Nick as the guys, obviously we were excited. We went from side set boys to main stage boys.
Yeah, buddy. Now it's your show. That's what I'm talking about. Do they give you like instructions, like practically speaking? So is it like, for example, Nick is announcing the down and the distance and like the numerical type bits, and then TDavis pops in for like the analytics? Is there like, I always think about like what it actually looks like behind, like from your vantage point. Is it like, because you guys are never talking over each other, it seems like you're bouncing off each other well all the time. Is there like certain things that you are tasked with going over or explaining during a broadcast, or are you guys kind of freestyling it?
It's kind of a mix of both. When you watch football on Sundays, I'm kind of the Tony Romo, and Nick is the Jim Nance, right? And Nick does more of the heavy duty stuff though. He's doing the traffic in between. He's talking about the promos, and he's got to like get us from somewhere to somewhere else. And I'm just kind of talking about the game. You know, Nick will do the play-by-play. He'll say like, "Oh, on first down this happens," and then I kind of break down, or he'll say like first down, he throws it to whoever, and then I'm coming in saying, "Oh, this is what I saw. This is what happened. You know, what a great play right there, like that." So I'm kind of the Tony Romo. He's the Jim Nance, and we're kind of working off each other.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of a, you know, going into it, things we can talk about, like more like the pregame stuff. Like when we're in the game, it's kind of just us, you know, talking, but. Pre-game and post-game, there's more of a like instructions and stuff, but yeah, in-game it's just me and him talking.
Right. Yeah, I'm sure like in the pre and post-game you have like scripts or whatnot that you have to be reading, but I mean in the post-game, I'm sure do you get to like hang out with some of these guys also? I suppose maybe more in the in-person events, but like have you guys? I assume that you've been able to meet all these guys in person and you know maybe even like go out with them afterwards, spend some time with a bunch of good people at the after party or what?
Oh yeah, without a doubt. Every time out there in Redwood, you know, Nick will help me. I don't even remember the name of the hotel now. I'm drawing a blank. But yeah, we'd go to the bar after. We'd have a drink. We'd get some food. We'd all hang out. Especially me, Nick, and User. You know, we're like best buddies when we're in person events. So yeah, it's all a good time. When you go out there, you have a good time after. You talk about Madden. You talk about how we can get better at our at the commentating and talk about life.
That's because like you watch you guys on the TV and it's like, man, I hope those boys are like actually as friendly with each other as it seems like they probably are. But it seems like definitely, yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, we definitely have some good times out there that. You know, I don't know if we should be talking about on the stream, but we've had some good times for sure.
No, I won't ask too many specifics then, bro. Fair enough. So, as far as like kind of your gauge of where the game has been recently and the direction that it's pointed in here, I guess we could start. I mean, we could start from your club championship in 19 or really just 20, which I know is like a running meta. But as far as like your synopsis, kind of where Madden has been at over the last few years and how it's developed from 19 to 20, which was a very different game, which to 21, which is a different game still, and now looking ahead, are you happy with the direction and the adjustments? I thought this year was an excellent year for content. I thought the MUT team went absolutely crazy. You know, we had the disconnect of current gen versus next gen, and you know, next gen. I got the next gen system on one of the first days, just thinking like I was going to need it to, you know, keep up with the Joneses, as it were. Not the case, you know what I mean? All the comp stuff and everything was still happening on current gen. But I guess, like, do you have any thoughts as to the like recent evolution of the game over the last 3 years, insofar as what it's going to look like moving forward? What's been your estimation of the state of Madden over the last few years here?
Yeah, you know, I really enjoyed Madden 19, not just because I had a good year, because I always like when it's kind of a passing game. I think Madden 19 was good from, you know, a gameplay and from a viewership standpoint. Madden 20 was tough. I mean, it really was, especially from the viewership standpoint. Like, you know, you don't really want to tune in and watch a guy run stretch left, stretch right. Oh, maybe I'll motion a guy and run dive now. Like, it was just tough to call as a commentator. It was tough to watch. It was tough to play. I think 21, like you said, was a huge step forward. The MUT content was great. It was more, you know, it seems to me anytime Madden is a passing game, it's just better from a viewership standpoint, at least. Doesn't always mean it's better from gameplay, but you know, the games are, you know, a little bit more exciting to watch. You got, you know, some barn burners, especially on the competitive scene. I think the big question is, and you kind of alluded to it, is this next gen, current gen kind of debacle here. You know, next gen was rough on the end of 21 here. So how is next gen going to look on 22? You know, usually the first year that a new gen, like I remember going from like the original Xbox to Xbox 360, right? Mm-hmm. The first year, the game on Xbox 360 wasn't good. Same thing. It was the same thing. We went from Xbox 360 to Xbox One. The first year, the game wasn't that good. So I'm always kind of, you know, I'm a little worried about what the games look like. But we also the other day saw Will Sykes, who works for EA. He tweeted out something like, you know, the gameplay is like so smooth. He's never seen the gameplay this good. So that gets me excited. That gets me hopeful for it. And also, like, I'm just kind of a Madden nerd. Like, I love the game no matter what, even if it's horrible. Like, I always just love kind of, you know, the X's and O's of it, building schemes, looking at the playbooks. So just for me, that's always the fun part of it, whether the game isn't that good or not. I do think though that they put in a lot of work this year. So I think they understand like that the next gen on 21 like wasn't that good. Right. So they're gonna make a lot of improvements. But we gotta wait and see. You know, we only got like 2 weeks here, not even so. So I'm excited.
Yeah, we're pretty much right here. Your boy Nick Mazesco just dropped a nuke in the channel, by the way.
There he is.
Just dropped
Nick
a 10 bomb mid-conversation trying to interrupt us. And you actually wound up in the 10 bomb, TDavis.
My guy. Oh, my goodness.
What are the chances of that? You're a legend. Nick, I appreciate that very, very much, brother. So in talking about kind of the state of the game, did you get hands on the play test they were calling it at all? Did you get to spend any time, nah?
No, I didn't even. So I couldn't get a next gen system. Like I tried to get, I was trying to buy some for Christmas. Couldn't get any. I literally just got my Xbox a week ago. I still can't get the PS5. It's sold everywhere. I just started following this guy on Twitter. There's like notifications if it restocks. So I'm waiting for that. There was like a GameStop one yesterday, but I couldn't. There's like supposed to be a Target one maybe today. Right. But I need the PS5 obviously too. But yeah, I just got my Xbox. I just hooked it up the other day. So, but I didn't get to play the beta at all.
I got very limited hands on it. It seemed kind of like it stuck up a point between current gen and next gen. It was kind of, I wouldn't call it dead middle, but it wasn't as like clunky and like, you know, everyone makes the joke like next gen they look like they're, you know, running with the diaper on, whatever the case may be.
Running in sand.
Yeah, exactly. It like didn't look quite it didn't look or feel like that quite as much. It looked like they picked up a little bit of the user speed potentially, but I mean, I'm excited for it. And like you said, I'm not like, this is a video game, and I think it's a blessing to feel okay complaining about a video game. I think that's a blessing, and I think we have to remember that like it's the game is so the royal we, right? Like not you or I, but just like the kind of the community in general, because we're so invested in the game, because we love it so much, and you know it plays such a big part in many of our lives. Like there's this expectation for perfection, and you know for every animation to go our way, and for just you to leave every single game feeling great about it, feeling like warm and fuzzy about Madden. And I think that, you know, that contributes to another question that, you know, recurring question that I've asked a lot of our guests. I think it contributes to really some pretty unfair treatment of some of the guys that EA gives us access to. Maybe not so much you and Nick and User, but, you know, guys like Kralo or Clint, or, you know, team leaders, like, you know, people who are in charge of parts of the game who, you know, we have access to and we know their names, but they're part of a much larger operation. And, you know, it might look a little different to you from inside the thing, but do you kind of agree maybe or disagree with the fact that some of these guys are getting it maybe a little tougher than they should? Am I making that up, or are you seeing the same thing?
No, I see the same thing. But first of all, I want to say, you know, I never put too much stock into a beta. Like, I don't really, like, I'll play it occasionally, but it's going to change so much when the actual game releases. It's never the same as how it is in the beta. So that's the first thing. The second thing, I do think, they get a little bit of unfair treatment. Look, you know, first of all, it's a video game. It's never going to be perfect, right? This is not real football. It's a video game, right? And these guys... And then when you're talking about Kralo, guys like that, they work for someone else also. So they have to answer to someone else. They can't just do whatever they want all the time, but they're doing their best. These guys are putting in the hours, and they're doing as much as they can to listen to us, to make the game what we want. But no matter what we want out of the game, it's never going to be completely what we want, or it's never going to be perfect on so many different levels. And so I think they get unfair treatment. I think it's okay, though, to give constructive criticism always. That's the whole point of what the playtest was. You don't like something, let them know so they can try to make adjustments to it. But it's never going to be perfect. And the other thing too, on a competitive level, you know, and a lot of things will go. They're not going to. Every game of Madden you play, you're probably going to get unlucky at some point. And sometimes you're going to get way more unlucky than other times. You have to deal with that if you want to be a competitive player. You know, there's no, you know, you see the same pro players good every year. It's not because, you know, they don't just get lucky. It's because they put themselves in the spot. They know how to handle the situations that don't go their way. You can't overreact to that stuff. You know, there might be a tip pick, or you might fumble occasionally here. That stuff's gonna happen. You got to learn how to deal with it and get through it. And that's just how it is if you want to be a professional player and get to that elite level. Yeah, I would tend to agree. I see the same things. It's just you hate to think that like one person could, you know, should or could be accountable for, you know, a much larger team of programmers, and like you said, they have bosses as well. So I mean, that's like also part of the reason I asked that question, is just to bring up the fact that everyone's been in agreement. Like, yeah, like they really kind of get the short end of the stick in a lot of ways, just being as visible and accessible as they are, which I think is a positive thing. I think it's good that they are
are, the visible leaders of the team. But, I think the community can be very vocal. We can be very passionate, and that can be a great thing. It can be, lead to us just being invested in the product and invested in the experience and those around us. And it can also lead to us doing too much sometimes, maybe. You know what I mean? And that's okay.
Yeah.
And that's okay too. And I guess kind of like on the note of the community, and you've been in it for so much longer, like you were saying, you're really one of the OGs of Madden as it stands now. Not like Shotmaster. Shotmaster, bro, was telling me about how in 1990, right, my birth year, he was in his dorm at Howard playing money games, and I was like, bro, there was money games in 1990.
1990.
I mean,
that's crazy.
Bro, what the heck? I feel weird about playing. I would feel weird about playing a money game now because, like you said, man, stuff might not go your way all the time. But 1990, holy cow, man, the cheese must have been thorough. But from your vantage point, from your perspective, have you seen any like developments or changes or trends in kind of the community at large? I mean, it's getting bigger, I suppose, which is a good thing. But as far as like attitudes or tendencies or, have you seen any changes or differences from when you first started in the Madden community to how you're seeing and experiencing the community now?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think first of all, it's just so much bigger now. There's so many ways to communicate about Madden, right? Back then, trying to remember how I would even we didn't talk about Madden on Twitter. There wasn't no Discord, there wasn't even Twitch. You know what I mean? Like, there was no way really to communicate. I'm trying to, we would see, I think there would be like someone post a flyer in like a Facebook group or on Facebook, or you would just kind of hear it through other tournaments. Like, I don't even honestly remember how we knew about these tournaments now, thinking about it. But when you look now, there's just so many ways to communicate. That's the other thing too is, and this is a little bit off topic, but like guys that want to get better, and I talked about this in my coaching sessions a lot. Like, if you want to get better, there's so many ways to network with guys to get better. Like, you can go on Twitch, get in the chat on Twitch, see what guys are saying. You're gonna get a lot of little tidbits too in the Twitch chats. If you want to improve your game, you might see like, oh, what's the hot nano blitz? And then on Twitter, pretty much during Madden season on Twitter, it's just filled with Madden stuff, right? You're gonna see guys talking about tournaments or tips, or complaining about things, or it's just all Madden on Twitter if you follow all the Madden guys. So then you got the Discord chats. If you're in a crew, you got your little Discord channels. So there's just a million things now that, it's just, you can communicate so much more about Madden. YouTube's bigger than ever. Twitch, like I said, there's all types of Facebook groups for Madden. So it's bigger than it's ever been, and the communication part of it has gotten huge. And I think that's why sometimes it looks like it's more of a negative towards the game and stuff. But it's just because there's so many more avenues to talk about it, and people are gonna let their voices be heard. And as long as they do it in like a respectful way, it's no problem to have constructive criticism about it. But yeah, all the avenues now of communication from Madden has made it much bigger, in my opinion.
That's a really good point too. Just the fact that we have so many more options on platforms by which to express the things that we like about the game, and also the things that we hate about the game. And I think this is just a rule of thumb in general. What's the saying? The squeaky wheel gets the oil, or something like that. So like the people that have something to complain about or something negative say are usually going to be the loudest. Like, they're going to be the one to leave the customer review rather than the guy that everything went according to plan. I really enjoyed myself. Like, I'm not going to seek out your website, your Yelp, to leave the 5-star, but if my food sucked, I'm probably going to seek out the 1-star review. Like, I'm probably going to let you know about it. So you mentioned earlier in the interview that you're going to have hands in the broadcasting bit of it. I know we're all looking forward to that. That's a super dub to hear for sure. And also, relocking in, refocusing in on your content creation. So what's that going to mean for you? Like, as we look forward to the year ahead, will we see you on Twitch? Will we see the YouTube uploads? I know you mentioned that you tapped in to TikTok, but what's as much as you'd like to share about kind of your plan of attack on where you're going to spend time on platforms, and kind of what your plan is going forward here?
Sure, yeah. So, I dabbled into Twitch. I don't love streaming live, honestly. I think it...
Okay.
And, I respect the guys who do it so much. I did it for a while, but it's a big time commitment to really build it. Mm-hmm. And I'm not the best at kind of engaging with the live audience. I'm kind of like a loner in a weird way. Like, I want to kind of do things on my own. That's why I really love YouTube, Twitch. Yeah. And then I like doing... my coachings were actually really successful that year, so I'm looking to expand on that. And then, I only did one ebook last year, and it was pretty successful, so I plan on doing a bunch of ebooks. Got the coaching coaching. YouTube's going to be heavy, and then of course the TikTok, which I'm starting to build now. So those are kind of my main avenues. I also I still dabble playing. Like I'll play on Players Lounge and Gamer Saloon a lot too, just playing cash games here and there. Like that's a decent amount of income too from Madden. So I enjoy doing that too. Like I said, I'm kind of like on my own, just playing the game. And I'm fun. I enjoy that. Like I could boot up the Twitch, play some money games on there, but I don't know. I might do that still. I had a whole setup kind of for it, but we'll see. But yeah, my main things are going to be the YouTube, TikTok, coaching, and ebooks, and then cash games too.
That's good. That's good stuff, man. Do you have any, or is there anybody, kind of looking forward to the next year that you want to tap in with? Any like up and coming players that you might want to hop in the lab with or want to collaborate with? Are you excited about any of maybe like the younger professional players coming up as you're looking ahead to 22, guys that might shake things up a little bit?
Yeah, it's a good question. I kind of have my guys that I've known for years that I'll play with and I trust, as far as like finding tips in the game and things of that nature. But as far as like when I'm commentating, the funnest thing for me too is building these new stars and seeing these guys come onto the scene. So like, for example, Madden 20, no one ever heard of Noah, right? We're like, who is this young kid? We didn't think he had a chance. And all of a sudden now, when you think of Noah and Madden, you think he's literally a top 10 player in the world. Like he's one of the best. And that's fun for me. Look at John Beast in the chat. I knew John Beast a couple years before. I went to some local tournaments with him, but no one really knew who he was. Who's this young kid? And then look at him. He made that Final Four run in clubs. He one of the craziest games versus Joke, and he really made a name for himself. So, so that's the funnest thing for me too, is building these guys up and then just seeing them, reach their potential and become household names. As far as who am I looking forward to seeing, like, for me commentating, I just love like I told you, I feel like I've mastered the mental side of it, but I'm always learning when I watch these games too, or I'm studying the games before the commentating. So like just watching the elite players, the way they play. Like I love watching Kiv run his bunch. People don't realize everyone runs gun bunch, but no one runs it like Kiv. He has some unique stuff that he always brings out. Same with Pavin. So and then you got on defense, guys like Mo. I don't know if he's competing anymore, but there's Noah. Like watching Noah play defense with his stick work, I always like watching these guys at what they're good at, because these pro players all have a elite tendency that they kind of lean on, and I always like enjoy seeing that part of it, learning what they're doing, and then seeing the new guys. Like I'm looking forward to Henry. I mean, I think he got his belt in the bowl as far as the team the yard went, or the team play, but I think he's gonna get an individual belt. So I always like looking at these new young guys come up. We saw J-Wall we knew J-Wall was good, but he went on and win that 150K last year, and now he's like legit. So I always like seeing those guys take the next step to elite status also.
Did you enjoy some of the squad stuff that we got to watch, and some of kind of like the unique format type things that were rolled out this year that looked a little bit different than the years prior? Did you personally enjoy that, kind of like as a spectator, as a fan?
Yeah, I really did. I think it's a lot of fun. I think the only thing I had a problem with was like it being the final event of the year for the bowl. Like when we had another like little yard tournament middle of the year. I think they did it with like some social media influencers. Like that stuff's great. Like if anytime they have like side, $5,000-$10,000 prize pools, or there's any broadcast of like a yard tournament team play, but do it like in the middle of the season, a little side thing, not at the end of the year with the big money's on the line. But I think it's a lot of fun to watch. It's not necessarily like the best X's and O's type of thing where you're learning and trying to steal from the pros or whatever. But as far as like it being fun, being engaging with the community, I think those things are really beneficial. And I think too, like guys can even be hosting their own tournaments like that throughout the year. You see guys like W doing it with the BBW stuff. You see all types of creators like having little tournaments. So I think having like a little yard tournament middle of the year with a lot of pro players, and maybe getting, even if you can get some, I don't know, social media guys, NFL guys, whoever. But those things are super fun to do throughout the year, no doubt.
For sure. And I think one of the things that W does so well is capitalizing on the personalities that are involved in the game. I think that's one of the reasons that Boss Bot Wars is as successful as it is. I also think that's one of the things that made the squads and team type events that we were able to watch this year appealing. Really, it was more for the personality, you know what I mean, for me, than it was necessarily the gameplay. Because some of the gameplay was gross. Like some of this duo stuff, like some of the ways that you just have to play in squads or duos or whatever is pretty gross. But I think the personalities is where you can really capitalize. And of course, again, I know that you're behind the scenes a little bit, so a subjective answer that in no way indicates where EA stands. Certainly, do you think there would ever be any potential for an event specifically like Bot Wars to collaborate with EA like on something like that, or do you think that there's enough distance between and kind of like unique audiences and motivations that maybe just leave them separate and probably not going to overlap?
Yeah, I'm not too sure. I always think the sky is the limit. Like anytime you can collab and do things like that, I'm always for. I don't know, like I have no idea honestly. I think though that like anytime you can have these events throughout the season like that, like personalities is super important. Yeah. I think like when you're looking at like the MCS structure though, you want a little bit of personality, but I also think it's about, okay, who's the best Madden player in the world? It's not just about who's the funniest. For sure. That's why I think like you do it like mid-season, like you have little side events for fun. We have the biggest personalities in there just competing, playing for a little bit of money. You can hear their voices, things like that. But I think we love to see personality from the players. And we get it from user every time on the broadcast.
For sure.
So,
he does not cheat us.
Yeah, so we need that obviously. But at the same time, it's a serious game too. We're trying to find out who's the best Madden player in the world. So you obviously want a mix of both. And I think, but anytime you can get those events in there thrown in, and if you can partner with EA to do anything like that, it just builds up the players more. It builds up our game more, which is what I'm always for.
Yeah. I think the more of that, the more collaboration, I think, the better. A minute ago, you said something I agreed with. That kind of all these top level players have this elite tendency somewhere in their game. So I want to give you the opportunity, you sir, and so you don't need to say it for yourself, are certainly an elite commentator. I feel like that about User and Nick too. But like, so kind of like reviewing your own game, like being a little bit introspective, what do you think are some of the things that you do that are elite in the broadcasting booth? What do you think some of your differentiating, because I know what I think, but I'm curious as to like your own self-reflection as to what makes you a good commentator, because you are a great one.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. It's a great question. I kind of alluded to it earlier, but I think, my longevity in the game, understanding the X's and O's, understanding how to kind of win the game, also like building up these guys, like, I can watch a player and just know like what he's doing and why he's doing it and kind of and the reason he's doing it. I have like history with a lot of these guys too, especially the guys that have been around. Like I know them pretty well. So I know their kind of stories. But I think the main thing is like you can have all the user skills in the world. You can create the best route combos in the world, right? But can you win the game? Like, for example, like when you watch Dreeny play, Dreeny's never going to have the best offense, right? But he's just going to kind of methodically move the ball on the field. He's going to take his points. He's going to kick field goals. He's never going to beat himself, right? A lot of people don't understand that. Like, they don't understand. Like, they just think, oh, like, let's watch Pavin. He's just going to air it out every play. He's got the best offense. But it takes more to be able to win the game. And Pavin's obviously a great game manager, too. So, like, you can see the psychology of the game as well. I feel like that's one of my attributes. I can see the psychology of the game, what these guys are doing, why, and kind of break it down. I feel like I'm always improving, too. Like, I'm getting better at kind of... I get it. Sometimes I want to keep it a little bit simpler for the audience. Like sometimes I get so into it, I'm just like talking fast and saying a million different things, and people are like, "What is this guy saying?" so I'm still working on kind of slowing it down, making it a little bit more simpler for the audience. But I feel like I've gotten pretty decent at that. But yeah, I'm always looking to get better. And remember, I didn't learn. No one ever sat me down and was like, "This is how you commentate. This is how you be an analyst." I kind of just learned on the fly, so I'm always still continuing to learn. And, working with guys like Scott Cole and Nick Mazesco have been huge. They've helped me so much with a million different things for it. So I'm grateful for that. And
I love that even on your stage, you're still kind of looking at what you can do to improve. Because me on a significantly smaller level, I'm doing the same thing. So you and I meeting, what a blessing is now the 24th episode of this kind of like long form interview style. Yeah, man, I'm super proud of it, super happy with it. And one of like the self scouts that I've done for myself is kind of similar to what you said, like slow down a little bit. I think one of your strengths, like you said, is bridging the gap between a casual and a competitive fan. You know what I mean? In relaying information that because you're a competitive guy, but like bringing that to the front, because it's not going to be something that maybe your average viewer sees. So I think that's one of your strengths. That was a tangent, but so I've done some self-scout on myself, and for me it's the same thing. Slow down. I was really averse to to having any dead air time at all. So like I had this tendency to like talk over like the last couple words of a sentence sometimes. And so for me, it was, you know, just shut the F up sometimes, just let your guests finish their sentence and like be okay with a second or two of dead air time. You said that, you know, part of your self-scout in the ways that you want to improve is to, you know, slow things down a little bit. Have you noticed like any other parts of your game, your broadcasting, commentating game that you're, you know, focusing in on over this year that we can look, you know, that you're working on for yourself to improve?
I think the main thing is slowing it down, right? I can talk too fast, I can get into it, so that's number one. Still, number two is probably still, you know, working through being on camera, right? I think I've gotten better at it, but still not used to that as much. I think I've gotten better though, you know, articulating the things I want to say a little bit better. Yeah, I mean, I'm always like, I'm kind of a nerd and junkie when it comes to like all this stuff. So I'll be watching like, I watch like Kirk Herbstreit games, like see what he's saying. Like I watch like Tony Romo, like I talked about earlier. That's so awesome. I'll like watch these stuff. I'm a big like WWE guy. So like I try to take stuff from like Jim Ross and Jerry the King Lawler. Like I'll I'll watch like, so before a tournament too, I'll watch like hype videos of like wrestling pay-per-views or like big NFL Super Bowls and kind of, so like just get in that like mode, right? To hype myself up and then to like, so I can hype these players up and also kind of break down the game. And also have a little bit of personality too. Like that's not really my role. Obviously it's more user's role, but I still want to include a little bit more personality in it too. So it's just kind of, I'm always just looking at everything to improve on. Never want to be stagnant, right? And for you, like, you know, like it's a journey, right? You want like long-term success. Sure. So just like you always want to just slow it down, take your time, and yeah, that's kind of how I look at it.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. So a lot of this you must be doing. You know, your pre-work, your prep work. Like for me, you know, it browsing your social medias and kind of I had no idea there was an extra story about what you dealt with Lyme disease until I started, you know, doing research like that. So for you, does some of that come into play as far as your pre-tournament work? Like, you know, the players' tendencies, like, you know, to look for Pavin's bunch and whatnot. Are you doing some scouting and kind of pre-work on your own before some of these events to prepare?
Oh yeah, every time, yeah. You know, and I kind of scout. I'll, you know, watch the guys' previous games. I usually, you know, me and Nick will do interviews with the guys. We'll talk to them. I'll take some notes on how they're feeling going into it. You know, what their plan is, who they've been playing with, what kind of music they're listening to. You know, we'll ask them like a million questions. Oh yeah. But also, you know, when I see like, okay, we got Pavin in the tournament, we got Drini. You know, we got Noah. I don't have to scout them too much because I know exactly what they're gonna do. Right? I know their tendencies. I've seen them a million times. That's why they're there every year. You know, the fun part for me is when you see these new guys come on, you know, what are they doing well? You know, we saw like spamming buttons. He's really come on to the scene the end of last year, and he just kind of, you know, he's really good at running the ball with that quick base. So, you know, you kind of want to scout these guys when they're in the big tournaments, the new guys, because you don't know much about them, and that's the fun part. But yeah, I'm usually watching all these guys' film, mainly talking to them too, seeing, you know, what their mindset is, what their plan is. And then kind of, I have a bunch of notes I usually take that I can look at throughout the broadcast.
That's good stuff, man. I mean, I think it's important for people to hear that kind of like no matter the size of the stage, like it's always self-serving. It's always beneficial to do the work. You know what I mean? To like put in the legwork, because I think preparation, you know, when it comes down to a big stage like you're on, is very obvious. And I think that's another one of the things that you guys do well. There's personality top to bottom, right? It's not like one of you guys is boring and users got to like, you know, save the whole bag. Like just like the interactions that you guys have with one another are great. And I think it's good for, like I said, good for people to hear that no matter the size of the stage, that, you know, preparing yourself for what you're doing is always going to be a positive look. And I guess kind of like on that note, and you've dropped some gems already to this point, but talking to somebody who is starting in content creation and getting into Madden, and maybe they want to create something for themselves and see where it can go. We touched on earlier that networking is huge. I'm a big proponent of consistency and prep work and, you know, putting on the best show that you possibly can. As far as like any other bits of like guidance or whatnot that you could offer, you know, someone that's on the beginning end of this career outside of networking and consistency, would you suggest us prioritizing any things over another? Do you think that's, you know, networking is a good place to start, I assume?
Yeah, networking is definitely a good place to start. Like, you know, and sometimes you got to be a little annoying with it, right? Like you got to get your stuff out there. You got to take that extra leap. Like, usually, and it gets kind of, and sometimes, people aren't always going to agree with it, right? So like I'll post a YouTube video or something and I'll like go post it in all a bunch of Facebook groups, like all Madden Facebook groups, right? Because I'm trying to get it out there. You're marketing, you're promoting your brand, trying to do whatever you can. You post it everywhere. So I think, and that comes with the hard work stuff. You got to put in the time, put in the work, promote your stuff everywhere. Also believe in what you're doing too. Like, do the stuff you want to do. If you start doing stuff that like you think you need to do, or you think that someone else wants you to do, you're gonna fall out of love with it. You're not gonna enjoy it. You need to enjoy what you're doing. Whether you're only starting with 5 views and then eventually you work your way up. But it's just all a journey, right? Yeah. And everything takes time. If you really love it, you got to put in the work. So those are the 2 things I would say. I think putting in the work, the dedication, and kind of believing in yourself is important if you want to get into the content creation and getting it out everywhere. Like, get all the platforms, network with people, be like, hey, yo, you post this, I'll post this. Maybe we can do a collaboration. Yeah. All that stuff is beneficial.
Are you having success on TikTok yet? Because TikTok is popping, man. Like one of my buddies, Chu Flocka, shout out to Chu Flocka, a Madden streamer, got partnered recently off of his hard work for sure, but also partially off the hard work that he put in on TikTok. He's like, I don't know, like millions and millions of views, like 100K followers and whatnot. Like, have you been successful yet or in tapping into TikTok? I haven't. I have to do a little more of it, I guess. But it seems like that's like popping. It seems like that is a hot area to get some eyeballs on you.
Yeah, I was always like, oh, what is this TikTok stuff? I'm never gonna do this.
I'm too old for this shit, bro.
Yeah, that's how I felt exactly. Yeah. It's all young kids doing dances and what is this? Yeah. And then my girlfriend's been telling me for a while, like, dude, you gotta just get on there, post your stuff. People will love what you're doing. You can do a variety of stuff. So I was like, whatever, I'll give it a shot. I seen some other Madden guys doing it. So like, and you're right. Like my first video I posted, I didn't even know what I was doing. I have like 195,000 views on my first video.
That's insane.
I was like,
oh my God.
I'm like, so then I'm thinking, oh, this is easy. But I haven't got anything close to that yet. I've done a couple of videos now, but I was like, whoa. But it is so true. Like, it's so different than YouTube, right? Like on YouTube, like, I like my videos, if I get like 1,000 views on them, I'm like happy. You know what I mean? Like, it's a struggle to try to get views. Like, you get a couple that hit, but TikTok, like even my other videos that I put up, I think all of them have at least 1,000 now that have been up for like a week. You know what I mean? So like the views are just so much easier. And it's a lot of fun too. It's like and TikTok's kind of less work because you only need like 30-second clips, and you can literally do whatever you want, whether you put your face in it or just kind of screen record and post something. So it's a lot of fun. It's easy, and yeah, it seems like. And I've gotten a bunch of followers already too, compared to YouTube, which is hard to get. So it's been fun, and yeah, that first video just hit. So I was like, wow, all right, this is cool.
That's banging. That's a great start, and that just is like to our earlier point about how there's so many different platforms and avenues available to pursue this now. Like, there was a time that you didn't even have Twitch. Like, you had Justin TV.
Justin TV, yeah.
Right, yeah, you had whatever that was at the time, and now, when you're talking about content creation, the conversation needs to entail what you're doing on whether you're doing anything on Twitch, YouTube, TikTok, whether you got to pop in Discord, whether you're on Reddit and got stuff going on in there, Facebook. To your point, I mean, it's just kind of like a product of the climate of how many options we have now, and I think that's do you think that's a positive thing, or do you think it dilutes the individual platform a little bit? I would guess I think it's a positive thing. Would you agree?
Yeah, I think it's positive. The more platforms you have, guys posting stuff, the better. I forgot about Reddit too. Yeah, I'll be spamming stuff in Reddit too to try to get views. Like, all the platforms have made it insane. And everyone's looking for content, right? Everyone's trying to, guys will just eat their lunch. They don't watch TV anymore when they're eating lunch. They're watching YouTube or watching Twitch.
Facts.
So content is king right now. The other thing too I wanted to mention, I forgot, is like if you are looking to get into the content creation stuff, like for the new Madden, jump on it like the first day, because those first few months of Madden too. And that's something I'm, working on. Like, I'll get lazy and not post every day or but like from August to probably December, January, you got to be on it, right? Hard, because that's the months that the new game comes out, everyone's trying to consume the content. They're trying to, get the best money plays or get some ebooks or see weekend league gameplays. So those first few months are key for Madden.
For sure. Yeah. And it's like a little bit so this will be my second, new game launch. Like I think I was partnered for the 21 launch, but there's also like some degree of like nerves, because not only is the viewership base going to be multiplied by 10, but the number of streamers that are out there and the competition available is also probably going to, multiply by just about as much. And to your point, I think it's huge to be consistent, especially within the first 6 to 8 weeks of the game, really, and beyond, because we were talking about this just last night with a couple of guys I'm working with on my stream team. It's a percentage. It's a product of percentages, right? So it's just where you're at in the directory. The top guy in the Madden directory today might be at 100 viewers, and the next guy's at 50. Yep. And when that doubles, it's just where were you at in the directory, and it's just going to be the according percentage that you've been boosted by. So to continue to keep putting yourself in the right position and making yourself available, you got to be, you have to be online to get subscriptions, right? Like, you just have to be booted up. Like, you have to be going through the motions and doing the stuff and putting your hat in the ring a little bit. But I know for some, the competition can be daunting, I suppose.
Yeah, this next month, right? This kind of time right now is filled with a lot of anxiety, right? And I think, to your point, like, say you got like 1,000 views right now or whatever, you're killing it on Twitch, 10,000 views, and then the new man comes out, you might only have 100 views, right? But the thing is, because there's gonna be so many streamers, other guys that are in your same spot are gonna have 100 views, and they're gonna give up, right? Mm-hmm. So if you can maintain it, you're eventually going to still creep up. You're doing it every day. You get to 500, then you get to 1,000. By the time a month or two comes, you're one of the top streamers now, because the guys in your same spot at the beginning gave up. They were like, I'm never going to get to, up there with Dubby and Problem. I'm just going to give up. So you got to, even if, you're starting low for the new season, just keep getting it out there, because people are going to consume it. And I think, I think that's important, and just getting it out there at the beginning. And then another thing too is, I want to, Eric Rayweather, who, I'm sure you guys know is one of the biggest Madden YouTubers out there.
Oh, yeah.
When I started YouTube, and I only started YouTube like the end of Madden 20, so I've only been on this content thing for, like 2.5 years now. And I asked him, I was like, what are some tips you have? And he goes, look, just, especially when August comes, just keep throwing it out there, getting everything out there. It's almost like he compared it to like a rapper. Just keep throwing songs out there, making songs, and eventually, one's gonna hit, right? And that's all you need. So you get one hit, then you build on there from that. So I always thought that was great advice from him. I wanted to, kind of credit him for that. But that's what I would say too, is just August comes around, boom, get it out there everywhere, every platform, content, and eventually, it'll come.
Yeah, just kind of like see what sticks. I think that's great advice. When you mentioned Eric Rayweather, it reminded me, and we're talking about YouTube, of course. Did you see what happened with Tokes YouTube, where it kind of got hijacked and like the videos deleted off? And then what reminded me was Eric was the one that posted this physical key, and I've been asking everybody about, because like I was watching that, even a guy without it, I don't have a success, we're building the YouTube, we'll get there, I'm not worried about it, like we're still building the thing, but even as a guy, like a Twitch guy looking in from the outside, bro, what an absolute nightmare, bro. That was just terrible.
Yeah, that is scary stuff. I gotta look into like getting this physical key, because you don't want that to happen. That's
for real.
They said they deleted all his videos, right? And he's
at the time. I think I haven't visited his page in a couple days. I think it was on the way back. But everyone was like pretty shaken up by that. It's like you don't know what can happen until it happens to you.
Especially at his level, he's got 1 million subscribers or whatever.
Yeah, most of 1 million subscribers, bro. It
kills everything you're doing.
Yeah. So I was watching. I was like, I remember that night. I was. He doesn't know me. We'll get there eventually too. But I just kept bouncing back between this like crypto like hacker that was streaming live on his. I was like, bro, there is no way I could watch this if I was this poor guy. Right? Man, holy cow. Yeah. Big yikes. I think he got it back though. Civ, what's good, bro? But okay, so this is completely random here, TDavis. So bro, you've been so kind and generous with your time here. We've already ticked over an hour. Like I like to like estimate these at about an hour and then just kind of like ride it out, as we will, kind of let it naturally wrap up. But this is a complete random and tangent conversation that we were talking about on stream yesterday, and the chat said that I had a bad take on this. Okay, my take was that we were talking Olympics, we were talking rugby. Rugby was the topic of the day, and I said that if you picked an all-star rugby team from the NFL, you could pick anybody you want, any position, offense or defense, anybody. You get to create your own all-star rugby team and give them a week of rugby training in addition to their physical gifts already, could you take that rugby team out for a walk against international rugby competition and have them take dubs? I said hard yes, and the chat thought I was bugging for that. All-star NFL squad, you give them a week of rugby training. Are they a competitive rugby team?
Against like an international rugby team that's been playing for years together?
Yep.
No, I don't think so. Not a week. Not a week of training. If you give those NFL guys a month, 2 months, maybe. But I think with a week, no chance.
All right. That was the popular take there. Yeah, the chat's gonna riot. They're gonna be like, oh, here we go again, Fend. Okay, and you're a little bit closer to my age. This was the only other like random out of nowhere question I wanted to ask. We reviewed a musical tier list yesterday where the young man, a good friend of mine, good dude, a good streamer, Nick Osinko, had NBA Youngboy and Chief Keef at one tier above T-Pain, Kanye West, Meek Mill, and Big Sean. Is that? Oh my God. Okay, that's the exact.
That is absurd. Okay, absurd.
That's disgusting to you, is it not?
That is ridiculous.
Okay, yeah, I think. Okay. I think you answered the question.
I don't even want to talk about it. It's ridiculous.
You can't. There's literally nothing to say about that. I'm flipping that and sending it to OC.
There's no argument at all.
Okay, I was as disgusted by that, TDavis. Okay, I'm glad we're on the same page on that one for sure, bro. Like I said, man, I want to be careful to be very respectful of your time. Super generous. You know, I know you didn't know me from Adam when I sent the message, and just goes to show kind of your commitment to the community and growing what we're doing here. The fact that you were willing to hop on a relative stranger's show and spend some time with me and my congregation here. So I'm really grateful for that, bro. Is there anything that you wanted to touch on, or anything that we didn't get to cover? I know we got to cover a pretty good range, or any parting thoughts that you'd like to leave the chat with here that we didn't quite get to go over?
No, not really. I mean, when you messaged me, because I already knew kind of what you were doing. I saw a little bit of it here and there, and I was like, oh, this is cool, like what he's doing. Because even back, I was like, oh, maybe I should do interviews. Like me and Nick had talked about doing a podcast, but I was like, oh, it's tough. So I really love what you're doing, and you can and you should get out there, get all the Madden guys on here to keep doing this. Competitive guys, streamers. I think that's what you're kind of doing already, but keep at it, because I love this. This is stuff. I love watching these things too, getting in the minds of kind of these guys. So no, I don't have anything really else to say. I love what you're doing. And when you asked me to do it, I was like, oh, no doubt about it. Because like I told you earlier, all I'm trying to do is keep this game growing, so we can get as big, make this an esport almost as big as League of Legends, CS:GO, Call of Duty, all that stuff. We're trying to get it to that next level. I'm trying to build these guys up as stars and get more viewers any way possible. So I was happy to come on here and talk to you, no doubt. And I'm glad I met you, man. You seem like a cool guy. This was fun. Oh,
TDavis, man, me too, bro. I was a little bit star-studded. I can't lie, man. Watching one of these guys I see on all these broadcasts to start the thing, but like I keep saying this. It's like it's one of those times where like you see somebody on TV or whatever, and you're like, man, I really hope they're as cool as I think they are. You know what I mean? Like I hope that they are that dude, and you are that dude, bro. I mean, it was a pleasure, a natural conversationalist. I love to hear your mindset of continuing to grow what we have going on, because I mean the largest we can grow will be together. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
With the backing of the big guys like you and the competitive community and the smaller streaming community and the work coming from EA and everything in between. I think we stand to be the most successful in doing this together. So I love to hear somebody like you leading from the front with that same type of mindset, bro. And like Koch said in the chat, it's these guys coming here and giving their time and just killing it in the process. You crushed it, bro. A natural conversationalist, a great interview, and I am really looking forward, bro, to seeing what you got cooked up for us here in Madden 22 and beyond, man.
I appreciate that, man. Same to you. Can't wait to see all your content. I'm excited, man. We got I don't even know how many days, but it's like 2 weeks away. Like we were talking about a little bit earlier, the anxiety, right? You're like, oh, like I'm feeling like, oh, I gotta get all my videos out there. I gotta get the ebooks right away. It's like, but that's the fun of it, right? That's the exciting part. This is the best time of the year if you're a Madden fan or just a Madden player in general. So I appreciate you, man. Thanks for having me on.
Hell yeah, right. TDavis, truly anytime, man. This has been TDavis. I've been Fend. Y'all have been great. An honor and a pleasure, TDavis. Thank you so much for your time, bro. We'll see you on the broadcast before too long, I'm sure.
Definitely. I can't wait, man.
TDavis, be easy and have a great day, bro. Thank you again for your time.
You too, bro. Talk to you later.
Peace, brother.